week's I Want to Know. Beth Luscombe here from Access Paranormal for this week's I Want to Know. Hopefully you are enjoying this particular session. It's going to be slightly different than normal. But by all means, if you are here live, use the comments section. There is a link down there as well, which I'll talk about very, very soon. But what I do want to mention first off is if you do have questions, any topics at all, any ideas, there's something you've come across with investigating, something that you need a bit of a clarification on, or there's something that you're curious about what other people might be thinking as well. I believe that information shared is the best way to do it when it comes to investigating, because that's the way we all learn. So the best way to do it is submit your questions to accessparanormal@gmail.com. By all means, that's the email down the bottom there as well. So please, everybody, if you are hanging about, say hello. I would love to be able to see that your comments are there and I can actually see where you are. So hi. Hello. How are you guys? Good to I have to figure out how he's tuning on in. This is a very interesting topic in particular. It's one that I originally had thought was going to go a certain way, but I've realized with a couple of comments that it might actually be a bit different. And of course, the particular one for today is actually about when is it too soon to contact somebody from the dead? So when is it too soon to try and make contact from somebody since they have passed? Now, if you feel a little courageous, oh, hello, Regal. How are you? Sorry. Oh, Lisa Ann. Hello, sweetie. So, and Shane, thank you so much, Shane. Shane always drops on in. Thank you, buddy. Good to see you here as well. This is a really interesting topic. And also a big thank you to everybody watching the replay as well, mustn't forget. And the reason why I wanted to kind of open it out to people is because we've all got different ways of investigating. We've all got different styles. I've got mine, which I'll talk a little bit about. But I wanted to kind of open it up to people. So if you do feel you've got a bit of gumption there and you want to be able to chime on in with some of your thoughts and ideas on what actually does happen with this particular topic and how you think it should be, or what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and what's great, what's annoying, by all means, use the link that I've pinned to the top of this post. Apologies for those watching the replay. And click on that link and you'll be taken to what is known as a green room. And the green room you'll sit in there, and then I'll actually bring you in and you'll have a bit of a countdown and you will be live. But make sure if you I've also got that. So as soon as I bring somebody in, I'm going to be wearing these lovely things. So yes, this particular topic for today. Okay, so it kind of went into two different parts for me. Originally, when I posted it, I had all the celebrity stuff in mind. So, the kind of things where, so I'm just looking at some of the comments through as already. So Lisa Ann's, we don't have to wait until they cross. Good point, but I'll explain a little bit more about why this question has come up. And I'll start with there's celebrities that pass over, and then there's your normal cases that you'd possibly deal with, all friends that pass over. So we'll start with celebrity side of it. For myself, obviously there have been people in the news over the last couple of years at least that have been very open about the fact of contacting a particular entity or someone who's passed on and who was a celebrity. It's been interesting because these people who try to do this are obviously trying to find answers like the rest of us. And when I'm talking about trying to make contact, I'm talking about within 24 hours of this person passing. And, like most people would think, you've got to really think about the people left behind as well. It's not just us there wanting and curious, and I mean all for the passion for it. And don't get me wrong, I think that's great, but there needs to be at least a little bit of respect for those that are left behind who are still trying to deal with the change as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I know that the investigators and teams that have done it recently do make it public. Look, if you're going to do it, I probably wouldn't make it public. I would probably keep it to yourself. Or if you do this afterwards, I know that may seem a bit cautious, but again, you've got, even though, because with celebrities it's very different, they are out in the public eye. People want to know about them when they were alive, people are going to want to know about them when they've passed. And I think we kind of feel like we own them a little bit, and we want to know what's going on. So I think sometimes there can be a little bit of that self-entitlement in there as well. Yeah, Kaz says, yeah, the same. Maybe it is too soon. I think so as well. I think we need to really be cautious of that, even from a celebrity perspective. Now, I know there have been investigators and people who have wanted to, or have tried to make contact with a deceased person, and felt that a celebrity has come in and actually made their presence known. Again, I err on the side of caution a little bit with that, because when it's a celebrity, think about it. So say, for instance, someone says, oh, Elvis came through and he told me that he died of a drug overdose. Okay, well, that's pretty common knowledge. So you need to give me something more that's going to be pretty compelling, that it's not going to be out there for the information on the internet or anywhere else to be known about. So again, I always err on the side of caution for that. Personally, myself, hi Karen, how are you? Personally, for myself, I wouldn't go forward and look at trying to contact somebody who was a celebrity. I don't have a need for that. I don't feel like I need to do that. It's not something I would choose to do. I know that some people would. But if you do it, I would say don't make it public, just out of respect for the people that have passed on. Again, for me, it's my reasons for investigating are to try and contact Elvis. So although he had great music, I'm sure he just wants to rest now. So that's my thoughts on that one. Also, as I said, what are your thoughts on that? So I'd love to know, use the comment section below, even if you are watching the replay. What are your thoughts on when it comes to celebrity deaths? Is it something that we should pursue as investors too soon? So I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that as well, and what your experiences are as well. Now, of course, there's the other side of it, which is from a private case or friend perspective. Now, this starts to get into some murky water again. I know there were some great comments that came up regarding this particular topic already, which I love. I love the comments beforehand. And that really got me thinking too. Sometimes if you are dealing with a case, and there was a case I was dealing with recently in the last 6 months where somebody said, look, I feel it's my grandmother has passed, and is there a way you can actually check to see if it is her? Like, is there a way we can try and make contact? And for myself, I generally go out and try to make contact with a deceased person at a private case at all. Because my reasons for investigating phenomena is for investigating phenomena. It's not actually to try and contact the dead. It's actually finding out to see whether or not the stuff that they are experiencing actually is, verifiable in some way, or, what they're actually seeing and hearing, and then figuring out what that is. To me, it's not about whether or not that could actually be a passed on relative. That's how I do deal with it. I do deal with or work with one particular medium in person. Obviously, you would know her, Andrea Caldi. She's the only medium I will ever work with. And that's because I trust her protocols and her methods. And we work really well together, by the way, but that really helps. So sometimes people may come from a spirit perspective. They're known to come to mediums and try and make contact. If that happens, then that's fine. Sometimes they will do that in a private case, and they want to be able to make sure that person that is left behind is feeling more comfort and safety in the fact that they are well and they're fine. But actively going out, so personal. It's really, really personal. I find that it's a very grey area, and just got to be really, really careful. That's why I don't enter into it. I think as investigators, we've got to start to, and we do, most people do, but you've got to know when you're out of your depth with stuff like this sometimes. So just be very, very careful if someone does actually ask you. So Okay. Oh, cool. So interesting comment from Cash. She says they have only just died and they're trying to deal with their own death. Well, that's exactly it. So then there's the other side of it too. That's a really interesting point. So, all right, there is an afterlife. We do say that people, there is a place they go to, and then the living turn around and say, "Hey, I miss you. Come on, I love you and I miss you and I want to be with you." And then where does that put that particular entity? And I know there is a belief out there as well that people, by doing that actually slows the path for that person that's passed over. So their energy kind of becomes a bit stuck, if you want to admit. So there's that point of it as well. So there's the other side of the fence that, if there is an afterlife, this could also be happening as well. So there's a couple of things with that too. As I said, personally myself, I wouldn't go there because it just gets really difficult. There are cases I have dealt with where, a particular that comes to mind, where a lady, her mum had passed, and about 6 months later, she thought to herself, "I want to know if mum's okay." And I said, "All right, that's fine." She goes, "No, but I really want to know." And she said, "I've been watching those shows and I got my voice recorder out and I started asking. And I think it was probably about 2 to 3 months she kept asking, and then things started to happen in her home. And there could be all sorts of reasons for that. It could be her wanting things to happen in the sense of having some sort of sign, but it got to the point where it was scaring her children. So again, it could be all sorts of things going on there, feeding of fear off each other, all that kind of stuff, looking for it so much so. And I'm a huge believer in intent. So from what started innocently as somebody wanting to try and contact the dead, it actually ended up being something, ended up having to get people involved to help figure out what was going on. And yeah, interesting times. So that case, I haven't figured out what happened with that yet, because I ended up handing it over to somebody who did spirit clearings, because that's what she felt was going on. That's what she wanted. That's not something I provide. So I ended up forwarding it through to that. So I have to double check what happened with that lovely lady. And hopefully she has feeling a lot better in her home. So for me, I wouldn't do it from a private case perspective, but I know that some people have. Hi, Nicole, how are you? And let me know what has been your experience. Have you had a good experience, a positive experience by trying to contact somebody? Has somebody asked you and it's been only a couple of months, or it's been a few weeks? Have you been contacted and by a friend, say for instance, who's lost someone very close to them as well, and they want some answers, and you've gone to help them with that? See, to me, that's a very different thing altogether, because you're not really there on a professional basis. You're there as a friend. So again, it just depends. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that as well. So hi, Beth. Yeah. Oh, that's all right, sweetheart. So yeah, it's a very, very grey area. We all have different ways of investigating, and I think for me personally, when it comes to celebrities, I just wouldn't do it. That's just me. I'm just not fascinated by that kind of stuff. With trying to contact a celebrity, too much bias, too much information available. That's going to conflict a little bit. And also when it comes to private cases, if someone had asked me, I wouldn't be, that to me, it starts to go into grief counselling, and that to me, I wouldn't be entering into. Someone's very, very vulnerable in that state, and I don't want, not to give them false hopes, but I don't want to lead them on in a time when they are so vulnerable. So that's where I would be. And even this could be years and years later. I'm talking, it can even be 20 or 30 years. So, well, that's interesting. He's made a point here. He says, my father made contact with us around 4 weeks after leaving here. And continued to do so. Very interesting. Marcus has a very interesting story as well. I would love to chat with this man. Have you ever known someone has gone from hardcore skeptic to physical mediumship? Yeah, that's you guys. So lovely, lovely bloke. Thank you for that, Marcus. So even Marcus, 4 weeks later after his father had passed, has been starting to experience this particular activity. So maybe it's 4 weeks. Who knows? I would worry without a trusted. So this is an interesting comment from Carrie. I would worry without a trusted medium. It would be difficult to know who or what you were contacting. Exactly. For me, I'm as psychic as a brick, and I put my hand on my heart. I am not afraid to say it. The devil himself would knock on my door and I'm like, what? I haven't got any chocolate, like it'd be that kind of thing. I wouldn't have any idea at all. But as I said, I do work with Andrea on a lot of cases because I trust her. I trust her integrity. I trust her ability, and I trust her methods and her protocols. So I understand from that point of view, it can be a little bit daunting. It's like trying to, believe it or not, see in a dark room without night vision. So very, very, what's going to verify that that person you're trying to contact actually is that deceased relative? It's, what's going to be, that confirmation for you unless that person's there with you to help verify that, or you have a medium that can give you information that you could possibly pass on as well. So it makes a very valid point there, Kerry. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Great comments, guys. Really, really love it. So, no one wants to jump on live and have a chat. Oh, is it bad hair day? I understand. So thank you so much, everybody. As again, honestly, have a look around on the Access Paranormal page. Replay is always put there within about 24 hours afterwards. So if there are other videos that you've missed and you don't want to trawl through Facebook pages or anything like that, head over to accessparan.com/learning. Thank you so much, everybody. Until the next exciting episode.